What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Super busy day in the raid world here. One more upload for the day. Apologies, it's a little bit late, but we're going to be doing the fusion guide for the Mad Hatter in this video here. There's definitely some things to talk about this fusion. But first, I want to do a quick shout out to the roundup winners here, just in case you guys missed it. So Isaiah, Slaver, Assassin. I think I have Assassin, John Dunnington, Indigenous Soul, and Ethan Child. Please contact me in the comments below with your UMID or contact me on Discord so that I can get you guys your rewards for the roundup video we did a couple weeks ago. With that all being said, let's jump right into the fusion plan. All right, guys, so quick little comment here about the Mad Hatter fusion. So I did release a showcase on him earlier today. If you guys are interested, make sure you guys check him out. To me, he's a very, very good champion. I think a lot of people, basically almost everybody, will improve their accounts with this champion. Unless you have super stacked accounts where you can field 3 really good Hydra teams, I think the Hatter could possibly be an option for even those types of players with 3 already defined teams for Hydra. He's a really fun champion with lots to offer in his kit. Definitely worth picking up, I think. But you guys can check out the showcase and be the judge for yourselves. Anyways, on to this fusion. So it is a mixed style fusion, meaning that you have to collect the fragments to build the epics, build up the epics, and then fuse the epics to get the Mad Hatter legendary. It's time limited, so you can't save the Mad Hatter for future chase events, unfortunately. So make sure you guys pay attention to that. As with any kind of fusion type of fusion, basically the fusing type, it does cost silver at the end. So make sure you guys have some silver at the end to pay for the cost of fusing all the pieces together. All right, so let's talk about day 1. So currently it is day 1 right now, about halfway through. We're starting off with the Fire Knight here, and then it lines up with the artifact enhancement and champion training. So obviously not the best day 1. Usually you want dungeon divers to line up with any of the dungeons. So you obviously probably won't be spending all your daily energy or free energy today on the Fire Knight. You could possibly spend it on the champion training event if you like, save some of the extra energy to go into the Fire Knight. However, the good thing about what is happening here with this Alice Adventure event is that the event dungeon is open. And the event dungeon is actually, it has the pinpoint gear in it, and it's really, really strong. So any one of these dungeon divers, it basically has a overlapping event that covers all the dungeon divers. So you don't really need perfect overlap between the existing dungeons and the dungeon divers to get value from your energy, if that makes sense. So what you can do is basically just complete the Fire Knight tournament and then use your remaining energy in the event dungeon and then complete the dungeon diver. It's kind of efficient use of energy in my opinion, because the pinpoint gear is really, really strong, and you're probably going to be spending extra energy in that dungeon anyway, so might as well have it contribute to the dungeon diver event. You could also do some campaign. So campaign stuff, obviously gives you a little bit of diver point, but not very significant. But that's going to be how you finish the dungeon diver. So first, you're going to put some energy into the Fire Knight. You could even do it on day 1 if you want, and then finish off the Fire Knight with whatever free energy you have from Tuesday or Friday. If you're basically playing actively, you can get about 1,000 energy per day from dailies and regenerated energy. So that's how you kind of allot for it. Each one of these tournaments take you about 2,200 to 2,500 energy, depending what level you do. If you're going to do this in the most efficient way, it's probably going to be dungeon 20. And then you're going to be working up to the hard difficulties, of course. But that's going to be how you finish these events. And each one of these events costs you about 2,000 energy. So you could technically finish off the Fire Knight in about 2 days. So Wednesday and Thursday. But like usual, the dungeon diver costs you about 5,000 energy, so it costs you about 5,000 energy, and this only costs you 2,000. So you need to find 3,000 to finish off the dungeon diver event if you jam the Fire Knight into this one dungeon diver. That 3,000, I would suggest you put it into the event dungeon. Try to grind it up, work your way up. I'm working on a video for that dungeon. It's not, it's easy, but I'm trying to make it so that more people can do that dungeon, because right now the teams that I'm figuring out and that I'm seeing from other people, they're just not accessible to most people. So it is what it is. But yeah, we'll try to come up with some more accessible options for you guys. All right, so, and then you have the 3 artifact enhancement events. These are pretty standard to take about 20 million silver each. Keep in mind the 3 dungeon divers here. So that's 5k energy each at least. Keep that in mind, guys. Depending where you start, which level you do. They don't have the same point structure as the tournament. So for example, if you need 2,000 points in a tournament, that does not equate to 2,000 points in the dungeon diver. So keep that in mind. And we come to our first summoning event. So we have the champion chase here. During this weekend, it's already been announced, but it's going to be a 2x sacred event. So you get double points per sacred shard. Sacred shards are probably the worst value for 2x events for the champion chase. So it's not the best event to get points for the champion chase. For example, ancients are very, very valuable for champion chase, but sacred shards, they don't really get much of a boost because the odds of you pulling a legendary is not high, and the odds of you pulling an epic still is, probably high. All right, so you're not getting that much value boost during the champion chase. Obviously, the chase gives you flexibility with fusing broad mauls and all that stuff. So, and mystery shards are obviously very valuable for the champion chase. But it's something to think about, right? It's 2x sacreds, but it's not a great value for champion chase. You also probably have one of these epics available to fuse for a champion chase, which is only 350 points. It's a little bit of help, but honestly, if I could skip this event, I probably would. So let's talk about that in a second here. So we have the champion chase coming up this weekend. Always a good thing to have it paired up with the champion training, so you can pull mystery shards and then get food for your champion training, which is always a good thing. After that, we have spider tournament. You could add some spider here to finish off the dungeon diver, and then you have a little bit of spider to pair up with the second dungeon diver. Classic arena, these are automatic. Anything above like silver, you're probably good without spending too much resources. CBC is happening right here, guys. So January 14th, January 15th, CBC. There's gonna be I don't know if there's gonna be overlap here with the ice golem, which is not very good for CBC. But then you have a dungeon diver. So what's going to happen here is that people are probably going to go crazy for the event dungeon and then probably complete the dungeon diver without too much trouble. If you're new and then you're doing CBC the best of your ability, it might not be worth it for you to try to complete the dungeon diver because it depends how efficient you are in whatever progress dungeon you're in right now. So this potentially could be a skip. Keep in mind that there's no skipping at this point. There's no skipping. The only way we can skip is if we participate in this hidden secret last summon rush here. So if you have plenty of shards, this might be your ticket out of some of these trouble events. All right, so at the end of CBC, we have the Ice Golem tournament. It has a little bit of overlap here with the Dungeon Diver. So technically you could finish the Ice Golem with this Dungeon Diver as well, but it's going to be kind of tough. You could also save a little bit of the Ice Golem for the third Dungeon Diver, which is, you're going to spend, maybe you spend like 500 energy here, 500 energy here for the third Dungeon Diver. And then we have a champion training. So champion training with Ice Golem, I mean, it's doable. There are some solo champions that can do Ice Golem normal, Ice Golem hard. So that makes it a little bit more efficient on your energy. You could also do some dragon training with some solo farmers for dragon. There's lots more solo farmers for dragon, normal and hard. So you can definitely do that, again, saving some energy for your champion training, but it's obviously more efficient to focus on one instead of like focus on training instead of going dragon plus training the whole way, because you don't train as efficiently doing dragon. You just get a little bit extra. But it's basically like free extra if you can do solo farming dungeons with food in non-turn attack style tournaments. Just something to keep in mind. All right, and then we come across our second summon rush here. So our second summon rush. And then after that, at the tail end, we have our third summon rush. So keep in mind that this third summon rush gives us a 50 here. It's 50 extra fragments if we basically make like a mistake somewhere along the line. Kind of really nice. So in a previous fusion, I think I strategized that in the summon rush where they offer 50 fragments instead of 25, the cumulative cost of 50 in one summon rush is actually cheaper than the separated cost of 2 summon rush. Just, that's what happened, right? That's the calculation. You save a little bit of cost. So in that fusion, I believe is the Thor fusion, I basically skipped whatever summon event and I only focused on the last one. And in the last one, I believe during the last summon rush of the Thor fusion, there was a Titan event that was active for his 5-star soul. And I think people were really upset about this because now the people that completed all the summon events up until this kind of freebie extra one, they were forced to complete this one for kind of useless fragments just to complete the Titan points. And I think they also threw in like a really good progressive, or they threw in like a 2x or a 2x or I forgot what other event that they threw in, but it was really, really juicy. It might have been like an extra legendary from Sacred event or something really juicy. But it worked out really well for me because, yeah, I basically had planned for it. And it also worked out that I actually missed one event somewhere along the line. And then the extra fragments covered that without any issues. But in this fusion, I actually think that's probably going to happen again. So I highly recommend you guys plan to basically jump into this like third summon rush and skip accordingly. So you can skip, there's going to be 50 extra fragments here. So you can basically skip 2 events leading and then hop into this one and then complete this one. So there's a chance that it's a likely chance, in my opinion, that the cumulative cost of 50 in this summon rush will be cheaper than potentially the Champion Chase and the summon rush put together. There's a chance. Of course, Champion Chase requires different requirements. Summon rush requires different requirements, but it's a chance that it could be cheaper. There's also a very high chance, in my opinion, that it's probably going to be a Titan event for his 5-star soul, the Joker's 5-star soul. Sorry, Mad Hatter. And yeah, and I think the 5-star soul really benefits Mad Hatter. He needs accuracy. That's great. And it also gives people a chance to kind of save up their shards, right? Because today's the 8th. It gives you until the 21st. So it gives you a solid 13 days to save up some shards to participate in this summon rush. Obviously, for 50 fragments here, you're probably expecting to pay somewhere around 10 to 12 sacred shards. It could potentially be like 9 to 12 sacred shards, potentially. So you need somewhere around that kind of point total to complete this. So it's a little bit of a big risk if you're not prepared for this, because summon rush is not as flexible as Champion Chase, for example, right? So my plan, personally, I'm going to probably skip this Champion Chase, and then I'm probably going to skip this summon rush. I think that's going to be my plan, and then I'm just going to jump into the double fragment summon rush at the end. There is, like I said, there's a 2x here for the Champion Chase, and there's a progressive or a 10x event for the brand new faction unity champion for Knight Revenant. He's pretty insane champion, but obviously, like a non-void Lego, the chance of pulling him is very, very small. The other consideration that I have personally is that I have about 70 sacred shards on my account, and I don't mind spending them. So I could definitely jump into this Champion Chase, even though it's kind of inefficient for me to do so, just because I have so much resources for sacred shards. And I could spend sacred shards here, and I'll be, pretty much okay. But it's kind of inefficient because I would be like losing a lot of, basically spending stuff I don't have to. So in my opinion, my initial plan will be to skip the Champion Chase, skip the second summon rush, and jump into the third summon rush because, like I said, it's going to line up with the Titan event here. And yeah, like I said, I think it's a good thing. It gives you guys a little bit of time to save up for the summon rush, which is really good. Another thing to consider is actually this Dawn Caller Sabbatha, this epic, is actually really good. She's a good epic, especially if you don't have enough resources to complete the fusion. I always suggest to complete the fusion, and the only time that I did not suggest that is basically Demitha. Demitha was a game-changing void epic, which meant she was actually kind of hard to get. And the legendary, although okay, I think it was a Sigmund High Shield, was okay legendary. It was not as impactful as Demitha. And, I'm pretty sure 9 out of 10, 99 maybe people out of 100 would agree that Demitha is more impactful than Sigmund High Shield. So in this case, again, Dawncaller Sabbatha, if you cannot complete the Mad Hatter, picking up one of the Dawncaller Sabbatha would be pretty huge for you, especially in a faction like Knight Revenant. where it's really hard to finish the faction wars. So Sabbatha being a reviver can be very, very good. She's also a support, so she heals up your team as well. So she's actually really solid. Keep an eye out for a showcase in the future for her. But yeah, I think her kit reads really good. I don't expect her to be bad at all. So if you guys can pick one copy of her up, I definitely suggest you do so. She's a good champion. Would I suggest you keep her instead of fusing the Mad Hatter? No, I wouldn't. I would always go for the Lego instead of the Epic. Mainly because I don't think Sabbatha is in the same level of Demitha in terms of account changing or account progress. And the Mad Hatter is a legendary which you may never see again. So it is what it is. It's just picking between which champion is more rare. All right, so I think that's about it for this fusion. Like I said, there's some positives to this. Mainly because the event dungeon is on, and I think a lot of people will be targeting that. So that basically gives you guys free, running space for all three of the dungeon divers if you so choose to do all three. Also, the extra, the hidden or the extra summon rush at the end, I think does give you guys a little bit of value. Basically, you kind of get them the fragments a little bit cheaper at the end. The problem is you have to wait to the end, and then there might be some hiccups at the end, of course. So you want to manage your own account properly. If you're one of those people that can't do things last minute or you forget things, maybe don't save it to the end. But like I said, a Titan event likely will follow this with some other events as well, or a Deck of Fate, for example, or a Hero's Path for something juicy. So if you have the resources for that, maybe hold on to them and participate in this third summon rush. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty standard event. Like I said, keep in mind there's going to be a silver cost to fuse them at the end. Keep in mind the deadline for everything, and keep in mind that this schedule could change. You never know. There it is, exactly subject to change, right? We experienced that recently. Otherwise, that's going to be it for this fusion plan. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are planning to go for the Mad Hatter himself. Like I said, I think he's a very, very strong champion for a lot of people, especially in Hydra. Very interesting kit with lots to offer you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the fusion plan. Let me know if you guys see something that I don't see. Love to hear from you guys. Anyways, appreciate your time. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.